Hey everyone, welcome to the Turning Point Collective podcast. I'm Maddie. With me is
Clari, hi guys.
Yay! Yay!
Hi guys, welcome to our first episode. We are dedicating this podcast to basically highlight and spotlight certain turning points in whether it be in our personal lives, our peers, our faculty and staff, just to kind of let it be known and we so that we are aware that even though we do hit milestones and we do hit turning points, they're not always going to be positive. But you have to look on the other end and realize that sometimes those milestones could negatively impact our lives. And some different stories for you, the inspiration, some tips on how to overcome those milestones, and things like that.
For this episode, I came prepared with a quote that I usually think of when I am put in situations where I know this is bad, but I also know at the end of it is going to be good, but in the moment it still feels really, really bad. It says, sometimes the universe has to take away the old to make room for the new. Because when you really think about it, yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
I really like that quote. I feel like you always have to be on edge, even though that sounds a little risky and scary. I feel like besides being on edge all the time, well, not necessarily being on edge, just be cautious and open minded to anything that could happen.
When we go through it in that moment in time, it's really hard to see that this is going to be okay later. But eventually it will, and I have come to the belief that you just have to keep reminding yourself that in that moment, it's your life doesn't just it's not just that moment. There's still a lot of time to change things, and there's still so much time for you to not feel that way again. And I have an example of this of from when I was a freshman. I started out as a nursing major, but I changed my major in my second year to biology because I wanted to go to medical school. So, and that change was really big for me. I Everyone remembers when I did that. I was going through it because I I went ahead and when I changed my major, I felt confident. I was like, "Oh, okay, like I think this is what I want." But then when I actually did it, I realized what I put myself through because medical school is no joke. And it's not just that, it's also like the preparation, getting prepared for it is the hard part. And it was extra hard for me because I wasn't from here and like I don't know this how the system works and all that, so I had to figure all of that on my own. And it was a really dark there it was dark times in my life. And I couldn't see how all of the things that I went through were gonna help me in the end. But now that I'm a senior, I see it. Now I'm like, okay, okay, I get it now. Maybe the world was right, maybe.
I definitely see where you're coming from. It's kind of like that saying, if it's not okay in the end, then it's not the end, you know? You never know what can come, you never know what can be taken away, you never know what can be fixed or even broken. And yeah, I stick to that saying a lot and I stand by it. Pretty much every single day, especially when I'm faced with hardships. Um, if it's not okay, then it's not the end because in the end, it's everything is okay, you know. And your story with changing majors is really scary because I'm in my third year and I'm already thinking of changing major.
Oh no.
I'm thinking of changing or maybe adding, dropping, and not dropping, but you just again you have to take that risk. You can't just sit in confusion in that state of like having that mentality of wanting better for yourself and having that mindset of like, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, everything's gonna be okay, and then not actually do things that's gonna help you progress. And even before that, you're stuck in that phase of like nothing is gonna be okay. Like I don't even know where to start. Like why did this happen? Like who do I go to? How can I fix this? Like all of that. You have to go through so much, but I feel like it's like a canon event for us, you know? Like you have to go through that.
I agree. There's a lot of things that when you're in your early 20s, you're just like, oh, why is this happening to me? And you really don't realize it. And yes, at the end of the day, I think it's all within you. You're the person who can turn things around. You're the person who is gonna see that after all the darkness, after all the bad stuff, you still ended up on the other side, on the good side. You have to decide that for yourself, and you have to practice. It's like a mindset, it's a lifestyle to be able to like see the good. I think it is. I'm starting to come to that belief where it's like, okay, like, do I want to be a happy person, or do I want to keep thinking about my losses and what didn't go as planned? You have to like change your perspective and see the good instead.
I really tie back to development. Development is a big thing in all of this, whether it be your troubles, how you live life, how do you look at life. And it sucks when people don't have that guidance, you know? Development is something really big. And example, last semester for Arches, I wrote a piece about children development, and I titled it Development of You. Basically talking about how different events, how different people in a child's life, all the way from childhood to adolescence to, all the way to adult, it their way of life really impacts how they're going to be as a person in the future. And I feel like development, it's exactly what it is. You develop into the person that you only knew, the people around you, who you surround yourself with. And it kind of sucks because as a child, we don't have an option to surround ourselves with certain people. We're just given that. And people who struggle a lot, I feel, didn't have that guidance or that positivity in their life as children, whether it be like immediate family, caretakers, anyone. For my little personal story, I have a couple. Right now, the biggest one is re-meeting a person that I knew in sixth grade, seventh grade. I transferred to my seventh grade elementary school um, for the last 2 years, seventh and eighth grade. And um, you know it's kind of like that theory, like you meet people 3 times. The first is just like they're in the background. You don't really know them, you see their face, you don't know anything about them. That's the second time is like you meet them, something happens, like whatever it may be, a relationship, a romantic one, just like acquaintance, whatever. And then the third time it's like deciding if, like, if this person is going to be in your life, if this person is going to impact you positively or negatively. And right now I think I'm at the third stage of meeting this person. I briefly met him seventh grade. I re-met him, I think, a year ago online, and we ended up following each other, but then unfollowing each other simply because of the fact of what we perceived of each other online. We thought we both had mutual feelings that we both were entitled people, that we thought we were better than everybody else, or even had like that jerk persona. I thought he was a complete jerk, and I ended up unfollowing him, he ended up unfollowing me. And it wasn't until like a month ago that we met again. And um he's completely different than what I thought he was. And he's really somebody that the best mindset ever. He's like, the development in that guy's brain is like beyond comprehension. Like, he's so smart.
Crazy. Like, in what way? What do you mean?
Like, his view in life, like the
Like, he has a strong mindset.
yeah,
He's healthy.
he's
And
healthy, he has
works hard.
goals, he has passions. He's determined. That guy is never not doing anything. He's always doing something, whether it be doing his 10-hour shift at work, going to the gym, watching videos to like because he does a lot of car things, and he's always doing something. And right now he's working in like aircrafts, and it's just something going on. He has something going on for himself, and it, I feel like I was in a point in my life where I was losing a lot of motivation, and where I was just going to school to go to school and get it over with. But I felt like meeting him like really inspired me to be motivated again, to have that passion for something and not to just do it. Yeah.
I've actually never heard of like that theory of like, oh, you meet a person 3 times in your
Really?
life. Like, yeah, I've never heard of it, but it is true because in the past years it's happened to me too. There's been times where I've lost touch with some people and then they've come back to my life and then they've left again, came back, and like things just happen and you lose touch with people for like no reason. But I admire that. I really do like people who, back to what you were saying about development, I think there's like three types of people: those who are put in situations or like around people or in environments that are not fair, and that's just like it's hard for them to grow out of it. And you know and then there's another set of people who have everything available to them, but they just don't try to reevaluate themselves like every day. Like, I think that's very crucial, especially when you're young, when you're young. um you have to reevaluate yourself every at least like every 6 months to make sure you're working hard enough towards your goals, to make sure you're doing all you can. Or I don't know, that's just like that's what I think. I try to reevaluate myself every couple of months. I feel like a new person because I'm like, okay, I need to like refocus. I've lost my focus, or like something happens. So I think that's what like part of like development is, you trying for yourself to be better every day and making a change. Yeah, I don't know if any of that made any
No,
sense.
yeah, yeah, it did. I feel like that you made a good point with evaluating yourself. Because if time goes by and I don't realize I have to start doing something again or changing until like I'm at my lowest. And it's not until recent, maybe even this year, that I realized that okay, I'm gonna put my mind to something, but then I have to check up on myself and like make sure I'm still on track. Because it's not until like I'm at the low, low, low that I'm like, dude, where did I mess up, Like where did I go wrong? What did I stop doing? Like I feel like that's really important. But
Sometimes it helps for you to like have other people involved in your new plan, whatever like self-care plan it is. Other people holding you accountable for it helps a lot. And that's something that I did this summer. I used to go to the gym before. Like when I was in my sophomore year, I started going regularly and I went for about like 6 7 months, and then I stopped because I was struggling mentally and I wasn't eating properly, and I just thought that it was a waste of time for me to go to the gym anyway because I wasn't being healthy in other ways. But then this summer I was like, okay, it's time for that reevaluation. It's time to change something because I don't want to live like this forever. And so I made my little brother, he's like 9 years old, I made him check up on me and make sure I go to the gym. So he calls me like every once in a while, every couple of weeks. He's like, you remember you promised me to stay consistent with the gym? And I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So he keeps me accountable, and like other friends that I forced them, I'm like, okay, remind me, you have to keep me accountable. And that's just what it is with the reevaluating yourself and getting better every day, doing different things. And sometimes you have to remind yourself that if you lift others around you up, that also helps you as well. What you give, you get, kind of. Yeah, that's all I have to say. So, the takeaway of this episode: there's always light at the end of the tunnel, you know? Yeah. In order for the light to appear, you gotta move yourself a little bit. You can't just wait for it?
I feel like that really ties back into don't just have that mentality of I'm gonna do better for myself. There's gonna be so much change. I'm gonna be at a better place, and then not actually act on your mental state of being. Like, always move forward. Start off small if you have to, you know. Just find that motivation and your passions, and you know, you got it. Like, it's hard, but everyone has to go through it. And I'm leaving you guys with that saying: if it's not okay, it's not the end.
Yay. As a last thing that I want to say, a question for our listeners. I want you guys to think of a moment you didn't choose. It was just like something that happened, a change, or whatever, an accident or something that happened all of a sudden without you being able to change the outcome. Looking back, how did it shape who you are today? Did it have a significant effect in your life or no? And then I was just gonna say thank you for listening to the Turning Point Collective podcast. Yay, bye.
Bye bye.